Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I am back with another video. Today's video is part of a blog hop for Pinkfresh Studio's May 22 release. So the first set I showed you there is the stained glass. This is the modern script sentiments. And then I also used the celebrate in style. I showed you all the products from all three of the sets that I'm using, but I didn't use all of the products for every set. I hope that makes sense. So just to get this out front, this is part of a blog hop. Pinkfresh Studios is doing a generous giveaway over on their blog, as well as to commenters along the blog hop. So if you just stumbled across this, I will link below for you to head over there and participate in that. I think it's open for like a week. So wedding cards, that's what we got going on here. Because it is nicer weather, it's wedding season is upon us, and these cute little modern cakes, you could use them for birthdays, you could use them for weddings, you could use them for really any sort of celebration that you would have a cake, but I did wedding cards because I am selling my cards in the store, and I knew that I was going to need wedding cards, and these are pretty much perfect. So I stamped that down in Pinkfresh black ink, and then I am going to use the stencil as well as just some additional Copic coloring. Here I'm using my distress inks. This is antique linen, and I am just adding a little bit of shading around the edges of the cake. I think with the way that the flowers are situated, you probably wouldn't even need to do much more than this, but I have a real problem. I got a lot of real problems, let's be honest. I got a real problem with dimension, and so I wanted to add a little something else to them. Here, I'm using my Salty Ocean. Blue is my boyfriend. I love blue. And so I thought that I would do my flowers in blue. I am starting off with the Salty Ocean. And then I'm going to add a little bit more shading with the Blueprint Sketch and the Chipped Sapphire. Typically, when I am ink blending, my go-tos are my Distress inks or my Distress oxides. It just depends on if I'm going for a bolder or a softer look. Distress inks is bolder, Distress oxides is softer. But I wanted to show you, and you'll see after I'm done with the flowers here, I'm actually going to switch over to Pinkfresh's inks themselves. You can use to ink blend almost any ink that you have. Their particular sets are very nice because they have the mini ink cubes, and there's 4 colors that all coordinate in each set. The other thing that you're going to notice now using this next layer of stencil is that there is a cake stand. The cake stand is not a stamp, it is part of the stencil, as well as some extra sentiments like happy birthday and celebrate. So you would use those to stencil them on your paper, and then the die cuts do match those so that you could cut them out. Here, they have some little berries in this, and I was looking for like a little coral color, probably because my colors for my wedding were navy blue and coral, but I didn't have one, and so I just mixed an orange and a pink and called it good. I am switching over to these little teeny tiny brushes now. The ones that I have are Rabbit Hole Designs, but there's a bunch on the market at this point. So just use whatever you have to get into those smaller spaces. If you don't have ink blenders, you could even use like ink on like a Q-tip because you're just rubbing it in there, or cut up one of your foams that you have for your other ink blending tools and just make them a little smaller so they're a little easier to control. Here I am using the cake stand. I am using Hickory Smoke. I don't have any of the Pinkfresh colors that are gray. I just bought the pretty colors. Here what I'm doing is, I told you I got a problem with everything being all matchy-matchy. I've confessed this to you before. And so with the stencil being, the cake stand is stencil, not a stamp, I wanted it to match. And everything else has a black outline, and so I wanted it to have one. This little trick that I'm showing you here is I'm flip the stencil upside down so that I could use its edge to create the top portion of my cake stand. So that way, if you chose not to purchase the dies, you can still use this and make it look exactly like the stamp portion if you just purchase the stencils and the stamps. But if you choose to purchase the dies, that the dies will do that part for you, the part that I just did, drawing in the top half. So yeah, the other thing that we need to talk about, we have so many things to discuss with this card. Cards, plural. I'm missing some footage. I'm missing some footage from my foiling portion. And you'll see that, like, instead of showing the foiling with the stained glass, which is what I used, you're going to see just the part where I use the solid hot foil plate, because I think I paused when I thought I was unpausing, and it's just not there. It's just gone. So it is what it is. I didn't think it was worth throwing the rest of the video away just for that little snippet that is missing. Here I'm just going in and adding in the darker green sections. And for my darkest layer, I actually didn't use a green. I actually used a blue, just to kind of change the tone up. Here's that section I was telling you about, where we're going to use some Copics to just bring out a little bit of dimension. I'm using 3 color blends, and I'm starting with my darkest color. This is abnormal for me, but I'm just doing lines. So you're going to be like, Kelly, why are you putting gray on this cake? Nobody wants a gray cake. You're correct. Nobody wants a gray cake, but it's not going to look gray by the time that we're done. And this is just going to add a little bit of depth. And so I'm starting with the darkest color, and then again, I'm just doing lines with my mid-tone, which in this case is a W3. So just adding in that little bit of shading to kind of help make it pop. And then for my lightest color, I will kind of blend those out. But again, I'm not covering the entire thing. I'm just going in maybe 1/4 of an inch from the edges just to blend it all together. And you can see it makes an immense amount of difference. I'm going to use the cool grays to do the same thing for the cake stand. And again, I just wanted to give you another option, because if you use the die cut, this will do it for you. It will put these lines in there for you. It will trim out the whole thing for you. I just wanted to show you that there are other choices that you can do if you just choose to buy the stencils. I know not everybody wants or needs or can get all of the things that we all have on our wish lists. I mean, my wish list is ever growing, so I totally get it. And I just wanted you to know that there were other options. So again, just starting with my darkest color, just to do a little bit of line work. For each one of those little scallops, I'm just extending out the line. That's all that I'm doing, and that's going to give it a ton more dimension. I also added a pretty generous shadow underneath the stand so that it kind of pushes the bottom portion of it to the back and the skirt portion to the front. And then just blending those out. I did have to re-ink my markers halfway through. I apparently am falling down on the job for re-inking markers, because this is like the 4th or 5th one I've had to re-ink in the last couple of days. But anywho, so here my dies won't fit on at the same time. They just don't fit. So that's okay. I'm just going to cut it out twice. Here I've lined up the cake and flower die. I'm going to run that through my Platinum 6, and then I'm going to do the die for the cake stand. Here's the part I was telling you about where it's missing. So this foil that I'm using looks clear, but it's actually called Opal, and you can see it's like a really beautiful soft rainbow, and I totally love it. But it's next to impossible to photograph. But you can see it in the video, when I'm moving it all around. But in real life, it's very subtle, and it adds just a little bit of shine and color. And since these are wedding cards, I wanted them to be very classy. For the sentiment, I am using black foil on a glossy white cardstock, but I didn't want to do the whole thing because I don't need all of these sentiments. So I just cut foil and cardstock for as big as the sentiments that I'm using. Here I'm laying them out because Pinkfresh has their stamps and dies that are all one size. I'm just using the stamp set to kind of help me line this up to see where they need to be so that I can die cut them out. Personal life, story time. What's been going on? Just my kids are sick all the time. Just all the time. And so that's like a whole long evolved story that we will get into another time. But just know that I'm on the struggle bus pretty much in my daily life all of the time. So I told you about Nathan's, oh here, that's a good shot of the little opal. You can see it shining there. I like that. This is the nested diamonds and the nested hexagons. And so this is actually going to give me 4 pieces to make 4 different cards. Even though I only made 2 for this video, I still have those extra 2 pieces that I'll be using to make cards for the storefront. So I told you about Peanut's cake. His party really did go very well. Even though he was sick, I was very worried that there were going to be no kids that showed up from his school. And what ended up happening was the kids in the neighborhood also got sick. And so they could not come. And the only kids that came were the one from his school. So that was okay. It all ended up working out. He had some kids to play with and hang out with. They did a water balloon fight, which they all enjoyed. And then, like, in addition to the kids from school, my goddaughter was here as well. They're the same age. Well, Alexa's just a smidge younger. Here I have all of my pieces parts for how I want to do my layout of my card. Lots of foam taping, lots and lots of foam taping. Just because I feel like when you have a background that is this subtle and a layout that is this simple, you need to do what you can to make it more interesting, and more dimension always makes it more interesting. So they had a water balloon fight. My ice cream cake did eventually get done. I told you I was finishing up as like people were arriving into our house. But when I went to go serve it, I pulled it out too soon and it started melting. It was like a big melty mess. Not the ice cream part, just the frosting part. That frosting was awful. It didn't taste bad. It just didn't look great because it was all melty and all the colors were coming together. But whatever, we made it through. So this part of the card, when I was putting it together, I thought that I thought I needed to put my diamond up higher so that my cake would be down lower and it would be balanced. That was an error on my part, and I'm going to show you how I fixed that. For the hexagon one, I did cover the whole background in foam tape, knowing that I was going to have to also then do the cake portion that way and the sentiment, which is a little bit of a pain in the tushy. But it looked so pretty that sometimes we're willing to sacrifice those things. But yeah, mostly his birthday was a hit. We did end up getting him, we got him a watch. That is, it's like, I don't want to say it's like a cell phone, but it's a watch that he can call out on. There's set numbers for it. It's called a gizmo. And you can put in the numbers of which people that he can contact. He can text from it, not like on a keyboard, but like he has like preset questions or responses that he can answer with. And then when you call him, if he doesn't answer, within like the first, I think like 5 rings or something, then you can almost like break through like a radio, so that you can get his attention. So, pretty much he can't ignore you. And we had planned on getting him that, honestly back in for Christmas, but then like 2 weeks before Christmas, he got super frustrated and aggravated, and his watch band of the one that he had been wearing, instead of taking the time to take it off the correct way, he got super aggravated and just ripped it off, and he ended up ripping the watch band. And so then we felt like we couldn't reward his poor decision making by buying him a new watch for Christmas, so we had to wait for his birthday. But he's super excited about that. And it's nice for him to be able to, call his grandparents or call us if he wants to. It has alarms on it. He is enjoying it. And then he got some new shoes, which he loves. My kid loves shoes. I have no idea why. just loves them to death. So my mom and dad got him some bright red Adidas, which he is a huge fan of. My kid likes red shoes also. Not afraid to make a statement. Good for him. Be you. What else did he get? Oh, my mother-in-law got him this. I thought was super cool. He really likes remote control like cars and trucks, which he did get one from my sister, which is also very nice. It's a little muscle car. But she got him a remote control boat for the pool. How fun is that? I never even heard of that before. So we started opening, I shouldn't say we, Eric doesn't have a mouse in his pocket. Eric started opening the pool that this past weekend, not for his birthday, but this past one that just went. And so he got that open, like got the cover off, and I actually was expecting it to be totally green because over the winter we had a situation where the pool cover blew off entirely, but it wasn't. It actually was not too bad. So he was able to fill it up, vacuum it out, get all of its new chemicals in there, and now it is currently hanging out with its warming cover on, hopefully, so that we can use it sometime in the near future if it's warm enough to do so. So yeah, he got a lot of good stuff. Hung out with his friends. It was a very good party. So here is how I'm going to fix that my design is not balanced. I'm totally married to this card at this point. I am super invested. I've already put it together. My first thought was if I trim off the bottom, could I put some blue underneath and just have like 2 layers of cardstock? But then I realized in looking at it, it kind of looked like my cake was just floating in thin air. So then my next idea was I was going to do like a little banner underneath. It would give something to ground the cake so it didn't look like it was floating, and it would fix the problem of all of this extra white space at the bottom of my card. So that is what I did. I just trimmed off at an angle the side of I think it's half. Is it a half? Looks like a half. I think it's a half inch. But anyway, so just a piece of navy blue cardstock, and then I'm just going to trim that off of the side. I've had these scissors for always, but I think it's time to get some new ones. They aren't cutting that great lately, and I'm very disappointed. But I have had them for like 15 years, so I cannot really give them too much slack. They've held up their end of the bargain. So there I put some glitters on the flowers, and then I'm just going to take some little clear gems and put them in the flowers that have centers. And then that's it. That's both cards. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope that you are inspired to give this a try and head over to the blog hop so you don't miss your opportunity to win. I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.